CED to launch took. Colombo Archdiocese sees calls for continuance of Easter attack probes. Displacement crisis persists as thousands remain in overcrowded cyclone shelters. Fresh Iran-US nuclear talks today. Shameful exit for Sri Lanka from T20 World Cup.
The top story on Gold FM.
The Catholic Church of Sri Lanka calls for public patience as the Criminal Investigation Department continues to interrogate Major General Suresh Saleh. Father Cyril Gamini Fernandez, spokesperson for the church, stated that the former State Intelligence Service Director remains a suspect in the ongoing Easter Sunday terror attack probe. He advised against premature conclusions until investigations reveal definitive information. Police arrested Saleh yesterday in Palagoda under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, citing evidence linking him to the 2019 attacks. While supporters of Saleh described the arrest as an injustice to a dedicated national security professional, official records show he held a diplomatic post in Malaysia at the time of the bombings. He later assumed the leadership of the State Intelligence Service under the previous administration. Now addressing a media briefing today, this is what Father Cyril Gamini had to say, and in the interest of clarity, we refrain from dubbing his remarks.
අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා මේ පාස්කු ඉරුදින ත්‍රස්ත ප්‍රහාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් සිදුවෙච්ච විමර්ශන ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපති වීමත් සමගම සම්පූර්ණයෙන් එන හිටියා කියන එක. ඒ වගේම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ කාලයේ CID විමර්ශන සිදුුනේ නැහැ කියන එකත් අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා. අපි කතෝලික සභාව හැටියට එදා ඉඳලම කිව්වේ මේ පාස්කු ඉරුදින ම්ලේච්ඡ සමූල ඝාතනය පසුපස සැඟවී තිබෙන සත්‍ය හොයලා ඒ පසුපස සිටින සියලුම අපරාධකරුවන් නීතිය ඉදිරියට ගෙනල්ලා යුක්තිය සහ සාධාරණත්වය ඉටු කරන්නට කියලා. පාස්කුනිදා ප්‍රහාරය පිළිබඳව නවත්තලා දාලා තිබිච්ච විමර්ශන නැවත වරක් පිළිවෙලකට ආරම්භ කෙරුණේ මේ රජය බලයට පත් වුණාට පස්සේ. මේ විමර්ශන අලුතෙන් ආරම්භ කිරීමට නීතිපතිවරයාගේ අනුදැනුම සහ අවසරය ලැබී තිබෙන බව අපි දන්නවා. ඒ අනුව මාස 16ක් පුරාම සිදු කරමින් පවතින විමර්ශනවල එක් ප්‍රතිඵලයක් හැටියට තමයි දැන් සුරේෂ් සලේව අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. ඒ සඳහා ප්‍රමාණවත් සාක්ෂි තිබෙන බව අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා. දැන් අපිට වැටහෙන පරිදි මේ අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමේ පරමාර්ථය වෙන්නේ පාස්කු ඉරිදා ම්ලේච්ඡ ප්‍රහාරයට ඔහුගේ සම්බන්ධතාවයක් තිබේද කියන එක පිළිබඳව වැඩිදුරටත් විමර්ශනය කිරීම. අපිට තේරෙන හැටියට මේ හා සම්බන්ධව ඔහු සැකකරුවෙක් පමණයි. ඔහු වරදකරුවෙක්ද නැද්ද කියන එක තීරණය වෙන්නේ අධිකරණය ඔස්සේ. ඒ නිසා මේ අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම ගැන කලබල වෙලා මාධ්‍ය ප්‍රකාශ කරන එහෙම නැත්නම් සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ලියන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. දැක්ක දේ තමයි මෙතනදී මේ යුද්ධයට දායකත්වයේ දැක්වුවා. ඔහු ආමි එකේ එහෙම නැත්නම් නිලධාරියෙක් එහෙම නැත්නම් රණවිරුවෙක් කියන අදහස ගෙනල්ලා ඒ නිසා එහෙම කෙනෙක්ව අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම වැරදි කියලා කියන ප්‍රකාශත් අපි දැක්කා. නමුත් අපි මතකයේ තියාගන්නට ඕනේ මේ රටේ නීතිය හැම කෙනෙකුටම සාධාරණව එක වගේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නට ඕනේ කියන්නේ. මීට ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරලා තියෙන යහපත් දේවල් ඒ කිසි දෙයක් අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක CID එකට ස්වාධීනව කරන්න අපි ඉඩ දෙන එක තමයි වඩාත්ම වැදගත් වෙන්නේ.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
Former parliamentarian and leader of the Pivitru Helorume, Uday Gammampila, was critical of the former SIS chief's arrest.
General Suresh Saleh is a decorated war hero who has played a crucial role in defeating the LTT. Therefore, Tamil separatist movement is badly in need of getting revenge from General Saleh for the role he played. That's why several conspirators link his name to Easter Sunday attack in 2023 through a story telecasted in Channel 4 UK. And we can remember President Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed Imam committee to probe into this allegation, and that committee, through their report, logically, with evidence, established that this story is totally fabricated.
Venturing his thoughts on the arrest, he insisted that Major General Saleh's arrest is a calculated diversion tactic by the government intended to mask its misgivings.
We can well remember this government, one of the main slogans for coming to power was that mastermind behind the Easter Sunday attack. So they know very well they can't find a true mastermind, so they have to rely on a fabricated story and catch war heroes, the enemies of the LTT, to please their financiers. That's why last year, after when the Easter Sunday attack anniversary was nearing, they arrested Pillan on the 8th of April 2025. Similarly, they had planned to arrest General Saleh in the month of April. But government now needs a distraction tactic. They have purchased inferior quality coal, and that's the biggest stock in the town, so they badly need a distraction tactic to give a new focus for the nation. That's why they advance arrest of General Saleh. We urge the government to don't hunt war heroes with fabricated stories. And we stand by with this decorated war hero, and we take every single measure, politically as well as legally, to safeguard and ensure his early release.
"26 trade unions within the Ceylon Electricity Board commenced a 6-hour token strike at noon today. Ajit Devapriya, Secretary of the National Services Union, confirmed that employees at power stations, workshops and administrative offices walked off of the job as a part of the collective action. The Joint Alliance of Unions claims the government failed to provide positive responses to 8 key demands first submitted in January regarding worker rights. These demands include issues related to salaries, allowances, recruitment and administrative policies. Further, they also protest against the CEB's move to go ahead with a plan to dissolve the board into 4 separate state-owned companies. Now, meanwhile, customs officers continue their protest too by wearing black armbands to highlight long-standing promotion delays and other grievances. Geethanjana Madapatha, Vice President of the Customs Officers Association, indicated that a high-level meeting with the Deputy Finance Minister Anil Jayantha Fernando remains scheduled for this afternoon to address these concerns. The second suspected gunman arrested in Monragal over the Akureguda double murder confessed to multiple previous shootings incidents in the Ambalangad area. Police state that the suspect admitted to planning the assassination of the lawyer and his wife over a month ago. Investigations reveal the suspect received direct instructions from the alleged organized crime figure known as Karandini Sudha. The suspect, an ex-Navy sailor operating under several aliases, is reportedly the primary shooter for criminal syndicates. In a separate development, the Western Province South Crimes Division arrested an individual for impersonating a high-ranking police officer to extort money from local businessmen. The suspect allegedly used names of various underworld gang members to intimidate victims and carry out his activities. Thousands of families across Sri Lanka remain in limbo as the Shelter, Land and Site Coordination Sector reveals that 4,729 individuals are still crammed into 45 open safety centres following the devastation of Cyclone Ditwa. While the overall system has a capacity for 5,602 people, the disturbance is a mess, with the Badula district hosting a staggering 56% of the displaced population and facing severe overcrowding. The International Organization for Migration and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies report that 80 sites were assessed in total, including 35 that have already closed their doors. Schools are currently doing the heavy lifting, making up 40% of the sites, yet basic dignity is apparently an optional extra, as only 20% of the locations offer separate rooms for families. The hygiene situation is equally grim, with an average of 23 people fighting over a single toilet, which is a far cry from the international standard of 20. Women and girls make up 48% of the displaced, Yet only 27% of sites have dedicated breastfeeding spaces, and a mere 60% provide menstrual hygiene items for everyone. Vulnerability is high, with 57% of centers reporting persons with disabilities, even though a shocking 60% of these sites are not fully accessible to them. Although the government manages 93% of these facilities, less than half maintains a 24/7 focal point to actually help the people they are hosting. The most pressing demands from those on the ground are for basic non-food items like cooking cutlery and bedding, which 27% of sites desperately lack. As 31% of sites prepare to stay open for more than 3 months, it seems the road to recovery for these families is going to be a long and remarkably uncomfortable one.
Now for some news in brief.
A fire broke out at the Keravalapitia garbage dump early this morning, and authorities deployed 3 fire engines to the scene to combat the flames.
The business news on Gold FM.
The land valuation indicator for the Colombo district rose by 10.6% during the second half of 2025 compared to the previous year. Data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka reveals an upward trend across all sectors, with residential land values climbing by 12.4%. Commercial and industrial indicators also moved higher, recording annual increases of 11.3% and 8% respectively. Now, while the index shows moderate growth on a semi-annual basis, both commercial and residential sectors outpaced the gains seen during the first half of the year.
International news on Gold FM.
Iran and the US hold the latest round of talks in Geneva today aimed at resolving their long-standing nuclear dispute and averting new US strikes on Iran following a large-scale military build-up. The two countries renewed negotiations this month, hoping to tackle a decade-long standoff over Tehran's nuclear program, which Washington, other Western states and Israel believes is aimed at building nuclear arms. Tehran, however, denies this. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will attend the indirect talks with Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. The talks follow discussions in Geneva last week and will be mediated by Oman's Foreign Minister. US President Donald Trump briefly laid out his case for a possible attack on Iran in his State of Union speech to Congress, saying his preferences was to solve the problem through diplomacy, but that he would not allow Tehran to have a nuclear weapon.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Broadway standout Sondra Lee, who famously created the roles of Tiger Lily in Peter Pan and Minnie Fay in Hello, died Monday of natural causes in New York. The 97-year-old performer was a multifaceted artist whose career spanned 9 decades as a dancer, actor and elite acting coach for stars like Jane Fonda and Marlon Brando.
Sports news on Gold FM.
Sri Lanka's 2026 T20 World Cup campaign ended in a crushing 61-run defeat at the R. Premadasa Stadium as New Zealand's lower order staged a record-breaking recovery. Mitchell Sutton and Cole McConchie rescued the visitors from 84 for 6, brutalising the bowling for 70 runs in the final 4 overs. The unbeaten 84-run partnership set a new world record for the 7th wicket in a tournament, leaving the host nation shell-shocked after an initial period of dominance by the spin attack. The run chase collapsed immediately, then Matt Henry bowled Pathum Nissanka with the first ball of the innings before removing Charit Asalanka shortly after. Sri Lanka's batters struggled to 20 for 2 in the power play, the lowest score of the tournament, failing to recover from the early breakthroughs. Rachin Ravindra spearheaded the spin assault with career-best figures of 4 for 19 as the hosts limped to 107 for 8. Mahesh Deekshan experienced a volatile performance, taking 3 early wickets for just 9 runs before Michelle Satner struck him for 21 in his final over. Now the capacity crowd watched in silence as the national side failed to progress, ending a tournament that began with high expectations as a host country. Meanwhile, the T20 World Cup moves into a decisive phase today with two high-stakes Super 8 matches in Group 1. West Indies take on South Africa in Ahmedabad this afternoon, with both sides looking to secure a dominant position at the top of the table. Later this evening, defending champions India meet Zimbabwe in Chennai. Following a heavy defeat to South Africa, India requires a victory to keep their semi-final ambitions alive. Zimbabwe also seek their first win of this round after a recent loss to the West Indies. That's all the news for now. Stay tuned to Gold FM for the latest updates. This is Avaninder Soma for Gold FM News.
Think a moment.